Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Divorceapalooza. And this is actually a very special edition because it's the last one. And what I want to talk about is divorce advice for newly separated people or people right at the beginning of the divorce. And my guest in the last episode is divorce attorney Ardené Fox. Ardené is the founder of Fox Law Group out of Phoenix, Arizona area. Ardené has been a divorce attorney for 10 years. She has so much experience even before she became a divorce attorney. So, hi, Ardené.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thanks so much for being on Divorceapalooza.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, I want to get right into this and ask you, you in your 10 years of being a divorce attorney have had countless consultations with men and women. What are their concerns when they come in for a consultation? I know you're going to tell me it's all over the board, but
Mhm.
what are some of the common themes? What are their concerns? What are their questions? Do they seem angry? Do they start crying? Are they scared? Tell me about that person who comes to see you.
Well, you're absolutely right, right? It is absolutely all over the board. Typically, their affect or their demeanor when they come into the consultation usually depends on where they are in the process, right? Is this a prospective client that's been served with a divorce petition already? Is this a client that is considering divorce but has not actually even notified their spouse or their partner that they want to be divorced? They could just be in the process of gathering information. Or is this a client that is just very disgruntled, upset, and ready to end the relationship, very confident that they want to move forward? Um, I would say that the most hot topic issue during the consultation, of course, are kids, right? Where are kids going to live temporarily? How am I going to maintain my income? It also depends on whether or not, what the financial dynamics are in the relationship. So, of course, as you can already imagine, finances and children are usually the topics that they want to get to first. And then, of course, any additional assets, we talk about later in the consultation. But there are certainly stages of grief, I would say, during the consultation. And then, of course, those stages continue to cycle through as we go through the process.
Okay, so let's start with the kids. So if somebody comes in and they say, I'm really worried about the custody. I don't
Mhm.
want my kids sleeping at my ex's house. I'm a mother, I'm sure you can understand. It's really hard for me. What do you say to them?
Well, during the consultation, I have to get a realistic understanding, right, as to what the circumstances are. So, in the state of Arizona, the courts here are typically they lean more so toward equal parenting plans, right? They don't necessarily have to. The courts in Arizona have a lot of discretion, but as far as any immediate change in custody or circumstance, the courts are usually looking for some kind of imminent danger or imminent harm. So I'll have to ask my prospective client, are there any substance abuse concerns? What are the actual safety concerns that you have? Is there a history of domestic violence? So, those are the things that we'll work through to determine whether or not we're going to file any kind of emergency temporary motion or request for temporary custody orders.
So what you're saying is if you live in Arizona and there's nothing really bad going on with the ex, like no abuse issues, no alcoholism, they're probably going to get 50-50 custody.
More often than not, the courts do have to consider the best interest factors, right? But if there are no concerns, most of our judges on the bench are leaning toward equal parenting time.
And how do you tell people, like, how do you make them feel better about that? Like, I got divorced 18 years ago, and it wasn't like it is today. Today, I see so much more equal parenting time. When I got divorced, people were still kind of doing the every other weekend with dad. And I liked it that way because I was a very overprotective mother. But now it seems like, and I'm in Arizona, and many, many more states, it's 50-50. And so how do you tell someone like you're going to have to be okay with that?
Well, you have to be very direct, right? And let your clients know that this is the likelihood, right, of what life looks like moving forward. Of course, we always want to guide our clients to work through any specific concerns that they have. So, I create relationships with my clients. We have conversations about, what safeguards, what can be in place that would make you feel more comfortable, and we can always explore that. I'm always encouraging my clients to do their best to reach agreements rather than going through the exhausting process of a trial. And with that, we can have creative ways that will make both parties feel comfortable about whatever the parenting plan is or whatever the parenting schedule is. And we can tailor it to their specific needs, right? So,
And Ardené, you're exactly right. You can maybe, if you go through mediation, maybe you get an extra day or two per week because your ex-husband is thinking, well, that's okay with me. I work every day. I'm okay with just 3 days a week or whatever. And that's so nice. That's just one of the 5,000 reasons mediation is so much better than
yes,
litigating and going to a trial. I was
absolutely.
going to suggest to people who have a hard time with the custody schedule is divorce support groups, therapy, seeing a divorce coach, and Divorced Girl Smiling. Read all the articles I wrote as a young mother, not having my kids, and it was the worst feeling in the world. But you get used to it. It becomes a way of life. You accept it and you value the time that you have with your kids. And then it becomes even, you appreciate it so much more that the quality even becomes better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And all of those things are wonderful options. Yes, absolutely.
All right, let's get into a few mistakes that you see or have seen some of your past client make, such as like contacting their ex too often, hiding money, calling the divorce attorney too much, or not following up on things. What are some of the common things you see?
So I would say I haven't seen a lot of those examples, honestly. My clients, I'm not aware, right, that my clients are hiding money or doing any of those things. I think with my clientele, what I've noticed most is that sometimes, and this is very natural, right? Your high emotions, high stress, excuse me. Sometimes you want to focus on just winning. You want the win, right? You're very upset about the circumstances, and outside of the legal aspect of a relationship, right? There are a lot of personal things that happen during the relationship that I may not become aware of. With that said, sometimes my clients overlook our cost benefit analysis because they just want the order that says that they won something, right? Because they feel broken. And so just to give you an example, certainly you may be entitled to an award of spousal maintenance. In the state of Arizona, after the court does that calculation, let's assume your spousal maintenance will be $1,000 for 1 year, right? $12,000 worth of spousal maintenance would be your award. But if we look at the costs that it took to go to trial, right, you're going to definitely spend more than $12,000 on a highly contested litigation, right?
Mhm.
And so I certainly encourage my clients to kind of think about the decisions that they're making to ensure that they are coming out with a stronger foundation, because this is just it's a snippet of their life, this litigation, but we have to consider what their life is going to look like moving forward, right? So that would be the biggest concern, or mistake that I see clients making, focus.
And
And so we help
and
them with
And guess who made that mistake? Me.
that.
I
Oh,
went in post litigation. I was so angry with my ex because he owed me $2,000. And he said, told me what I could do, which wasn't very nice. And I got mad and I called my lawyer. And Ardené, it cost me $10,000 to get the two, and then all these other issues were opened up, can of worms, and I got a horrible deal, and it was just a terrible decision. And in the future, if he didn't pay me, I said, okay, are you gonna do that again, or are you just gonna focus on making your own money and controlling what you can? I mean, I know none of those seem like good choices to people who are watching, like, oh, so I have to just eat the 2,000 and never get it. Sometimes that's the best choice.
it is.
And I always tell people, try exactly what you just said. Try not to always feel like you have to win. Because you know
Mhm.
what winning really is? It's being happy, being
Mhm.
successful, having a good relationship with your kids, maybe finding love again. Those are
Yes.
all things that are winning. So
Right.
if you feel like you got cheated in the divorce, sometimes it's better to just say, I'm going to try to really let go of those feelings, trust the universe, and focus really on myself and how to get to a better place with things I can control.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay, last question. What are your clients like at the end of a divorce versus the beginning? How do you see them change?
I and I really love when I see that my clients kind of walk away with a sense of peace, right? A sense of closure. I do notice that my clients are empowered. That doesn't mean that they're not sad. A lot of my clients are still sad. I've had clients that really didn't want to proceed with divorce at all, right? They wanted to stay married, and they still had to move forward and deal with the divorce process. But I think that the peace and that sense of empowerment just comes from closing that door, knowing what the expectations will be moving forward, and being able to really close that chapter and start on building the next chapter of their life. So, yes.
And don't you feel like you see this shift in just their whole demeanor?
Yeah.
You know, like when
Absolutely.
somebody finally is done, it's like you really feel, and this is just coming from personal experience, like not even just the divorce being final, but over that year, year and a half. Mine took about a year and a half, a year and
Mhm.
3 months, and could have been a lot less had we gone through mediation. But and we ended up mediating. We didn't go to a trial, but that sense of empowerment. I've now lived alone for a year and 3 months. I
Mhm.
don't feel like this scared, insecure person anymore. I know I still have a lot of work to do, but at this point, I handled it, and now life is only going to just get better and better.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being on Divorceapalooza. I love the conversation.
You are so welcome. Thank you, Jackie.
And tell everybody watching if they want to reach you for a consult, what's the best way?
You can contact us by phone at 480-409-3025.
And Ardené, if somebody saw you and says, okay, I want to work with her, they're not getting an assistant, they're getting you.
That's accurate. Yep.
Okay, I love that. And I want to tell everybody watching, you can also find Ardené in the trusted professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling, the new website that just went up yesterday. Very exciting. And we appreciate you watching. Take care, everyone. And thank you so much for being part of Divorceapalooza. We really appreciate trying to help you, answer your questions, empower you, and just make you feel good and inspired about your post divorce life.